Welcome to Outlast the Iron. This is episode 9, following up a wonderful session on emotional regulation. Got Zach and Alex going to talk about dealing with trolls. What you got on that?
That's actually my favorite. One of my favorite movies is Trolls 1. Great movie.
I've never seen that. Is this? Am I dating myself?
No, we'll watch it when you come over.
Oh no.
Great.
So, what's that?
Go ahead.
I was thinking, like, when dealing with trolls, what a lot of people don't realize, and I guess I needed playing baseball in college to tell me this, was that you're going to go into certain environments where a lot of the people, it's going to be adversarial, and people are going to try to get in your head. Like, there's a number of different ways that people are going to try to get in your head. So if you have a funny name, they're going to use that against you. If you look funny, they're going to use those things against you. Everything that you give them, they're going to use, and it doesn't matter what you do, right? So if you're in an adversarial environment, you're going to have a certain amount of haters no matter what you do, no matter how well you are, no matter how well prepared you are, no matter how good your product is. You're always going to have a small percentage of people who are detracting. They're going to try to understand your weaknesses or try to understand your obvious weaknesses and take you down based on those, right? And I don't think that most people spend enough time in adversarial environments, but then also away from them to observe what's going on so that they can recognize this pattern. They just see it as, oh my God, this is so scary. This is so anxiety inducing. How do I react? And then they get flustered. They're not in control of the situation. They don't realize, like, this is what I signed up for. Yeah, they're just going to mess with me for 10 different reasons. And there's a bunch of ways I can flip it on them, and they're not going to be ready for it. Kind of like what you talked about you do in the grocery store if somebody was giving you crap for not wearing a mask.
Yeah. So here's something to think about, unpacking that a little bit. I don't believe most trolls are doing it personally. Let me explain why. I don't think it's personal, and I'm learning how to not take it personal. And here's how. If someone possesses the need to troll me, yell, say angry things towards me, whatever this might look like, it's not actually upon me. There's a reason they're so triggered and upset about whatever I've said or done. If it's a social media, my social media persona, my anti-sissiness, my grit. There's something about my personality or something I said or done that triggered some past issues and trauma in their life. And they pair that cognitive thought to that past trauma experience directly with me. They mesh the two, and they have naturally, from years of evolution, they feel that natural ability to fear and want to stay alive. So they word vomit all this anger and insecurity onto me. And then I realized, So when I started recognizing that, I realized, people act directly off of emotion because when I get angry with older people, like we just talked about on the last podcast of emotional regulation, it's not because that older guy did anything wrong to me. It's because my dad was a piece of shit. So since I was able to recognize and regulate my emotions well enough, I can communicate more effectively with the older, the older guy, the middle-aged man. Mm-hmm. So when I did that, I started creating observations on my social media. So I'll put the same exact post. You'll see me do this a lot. I'll put the same exact post on Twitter and the same exact post on Facebook. And I see how the following responds. And I'll use it a little bit more now too. I talk a little bit about clean water and how many people are dying from clean water and starvation, which is like 13, 14 million people a year. And I'm seeing just how people respond because people immediately go to COVID. Well, I know they're going to go to COVID because that's the fear that lives in them, which kind of falls back on this whole thing that, fearing COVID only changes the conditioning of your heart, but not actually the outcome of the virus. But I'm just interested to see how people respond to it. And I get this a lot. You can't compare the two. One has a cure and one doesn't. We can help people with starvation. We can help people. But that's the thing. We help people with starvation in water. And I always stop and say, So what I do is I use this in my mentorship package for my guys to observe how to deal with trolls. It's part of my mentorship package. It's part of things that I'm gone through and currently still go through. So since I'm learning this as I go and as I've been going, I'm collecting all this information, these observations, and just taking screenshots. So their information is literally being processed right through I'm using them as observation studies. So I'm actually leveraging it to my advantage now. A lot of people think I get caught up every now and then when I'm tweeting back and forth towards these people, but in reality, I'm searching for them to say more so I can gather that information from them. When you start to recognize why people are responding the way that you're responding, it makes it a lot more easy to give them grace and empathy upon that. Like people got caught up in the other day when I posted about the Christianity thing.
Mm-hmm.
God, I got DMs and different people that it brought even additional conversations into my life that I got
Mm-hmm.
to speak on, which was good because people were able to see my perspective of things and my things. But it's interesting. It's interesting why people decide to respond the way they want to respond. I haven't nailed it down. It's not a one size fits all. It's not a blanketed statement. Everyone has their own traumas and reasons behind it, but I can almost always guarantee it has very little to actually do with me getting slandered. With the thing, it's much more to deal. It's a projection of their internal insecurities and their past traumas.
Right. And I think as I've paid more attention to how humans operate, which has really helped me I wouldn't say cut corners, but it has helped me cut corners. It's your life is more efficient when you understand how humans are likely to act, and your ideas are more likely to manifest themselves in something successful when you can predict how others are going to respond to you. And what I've kind of realized both through internal self-assessments and just observing others is that we realize fundamentally deep within us that powerful people are threatening, right? Because, in the course of human evolution, who is likely to kill you? It's like powerful people. Powerful people are a threat to your procreative existence, especially as a male, because through most of human history, most men didn't procreate. And all the procreation opportunities, were accrued to a small number of men, a small number of alpha males. And so the emergence of an alpha male will be met with a strong amount of stoppages, of obstruction, because people understand that if an alpha male rises, but that alpha male isn't aligned with them, that alpha male is actually really dangerous for their future. And so they don't consciously realize, oh, if Zach gains a larger following, gets more popular, gets more famous, my ability to find a mate will diminish and my ability to procure food will diminish. But this is exactly what's playing in their subconscious, right? And so that's why people will hate you without even realizing why they hate you. It's because they've been programmed to avoid the emergence of other alpha males who are not aligned with them.
Right. It's just a modern day, though. It's just a modern day way of looking at it. You're going to still be able to eat, and you're probably still going to be able to procreate, but it's the modern way of actually looking at it. Absolutely. I believe 100% that it's beat into our DNA. I mean, it's hard. I mean, even for me, dude, like I had to teach myself not to be a hater. You know what I mean? It's just like we all have to make sure that we don't hate on people. Like the first thing that comes to my mind often when I see a guy squat 800, I'm like, motherfucker.
Right.
I got to do 8. It's just like it goes in, and I'm like, you can still cheer this guy. I don't have to be 4% body fat to still cheer for you.
Right, exactly. And this is something that a lot of people don't realize is, and we've never even talked about this, but it's like whenever, like all of my friends are successful dudes, because like I hang out with people, and I'm not saying 100% like I'm super exclusive with who I hang out with, but probably, 90% of the people, 95% of the people who I'm spending meaningful time with are making six-figure income, have similar educational background to me, or at least they're starting their own business. And so I would put you in that bucket, even though we didn't have the same educational experience. But the reality is I'm also a competitive man. And so when I see other competitive people do better than me, I want to do better than them. It's like, I want to win. Obviously I want to win. And so I have to be consciously aware of the fact that my desire to win and my desire to be my best self can get in the way of me being my best self and can make me more competitive when I should be supportive. Right. And so part of being a civilized person is like restraining that primal instinct when it's getting in the way of you actually succeeding. Right. And so this is something that I'll have to consciously manage. Right. Like I can totally see myself in a situation where I'll find things to get angry about where they're not legitimate. I'll be like, yeah, that's not worth saying. Like, that's on you, Alex. That's not on him. Like there's no reason to get mad. Like the reason why you're mad is because you're internally having your hatred come out, and it's just a status game that you're playing in your own mind. It's stupid. It's your responsibility to fix it. So just fix it. It's your problem, not anybody else's.
Yes. And it's interesting. That happens more and more with your investment. So when you're invested into one particular area, it can be your workspace, it can be lifting weights, maybe it's powerlifting, right? And I saw this really heavily with myself and other people still in the powerlifting community. While the powerlifting community can be very cool, it also has an overwhelming douchebag section.
Yeah.
Everyone's just trying to naturally be stronger than the next guy. So you have that competitive, almost like fighting. You don't see a lot of fighters who are just best buds outside the cage. Like, they respect each other, but there's usually a lot of shit talking going on.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're overly invested in one realm of things, you find yourself two things, multiple things we can go through here, but one thing in particular I found myself is more arrogant.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really invested in this one topic. I have to be the fucking best in it.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, my character may suffer because I'm overly invested in one particular topic, and I can't get outside of this universe.
Right.
Which is what I saw with the powerlifting community, and kind of why I removed myself from it, is because I saw like everybody's so obsessed with the big three lifts, and if you do this, and they're constantly talking shit back and forth, and there's rivalries being created, and I thought it was so douchey and dweeby because I'm like, rivalry? You're deadlifting. What's a rivalry? Or you're not fighting me. That'd be cool. Like, let's create a rivalry and fight. Right. That makes more sense. Right. But like, you lifted more weight than what you did before. It doesn't really affect me none. Okay, maybe I win the cup, maybe I don't. But it's just like, it doesn't have the same effect on me. Even like a sporting event, it's much different. Like, lifting the weights is much different. So more internal. And I just thought it was super douchey always. Just like, that's why I found myself kind of removing myself more and more from that particular environment. Right. Because those guys in that environment are often arrogant and egotistical because they too want to be top alpha dog. And they're more competitive. So it makes more sense for me to understand that community, because it's like, I'm one of them. I just broke out of that kind of way of thinking and those perspectives.
Well, and what's really interesting is this applies to how human civilizations operate, and why people go to war, and why there's like civil wars, and why people fight each other is basically, if you eliminate, or if you limit the avenues that people have for hierarchy ascendance, right? In powerlifting, there's 3. You can be good at bench, you can be good at squat, you can get deadlift. Or in a modern economy, if there's a recession going on, there's fewer opportunities to be successful. What happens when you constrict the number of areas where people can succeed is they start going after each other's throat. Right? People are more likely to be cooperative when there's an expansive opportunity to be successful. When those opportunities for success don't expand, civil wars happen. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's just manifesting itself in other things, like race and gender issues. But the reality is, this is what happens when you minimize the opportunities for advancement within a community or a society. And then you make people hyper aware of their limited position relative to others, is they become incredibly status conscious, and they bicker about every minor thing that they think might be holding them back from ascending that hierarchy. And it's all programmed within us, right? And so to trace this back to how this affects trolling is when you're in an environment where you feel that there's only 1 or 2 ways that you can maybe succeed, and there's one top dog who's ahead of you in that environment, and you basically think that this guy needs to move. Like, the only way I can get up there is if this guy moves. But if you're that guy that the haters want to move, and they're going to come after you, and they're going to try to troll you, the only way that they stop trolling is when they feel threatened, when you bite back, right? Because when you bite back, then they realize it's not a risk-free shot that they're taking.
Okay, now let's back this up to a little less deepness. Okay, and what I mean by that is, a lot of people are just involved in like, kind of, I know it's a come up cancel culture thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just like the idea of putting something out to have people talk shit, or to have people join them, right? And their more likes, whatever that might look like. I see guys tweeting about it sometimes, and you'll randomly see me hop on someone's shit like, I love this guy, but I totally disagree. One guy was this Rob guy. He said touch and go deadlifts don't count. And I was just like, I hate that people put that information out, because, like, no offense, but it's just like, I'm way smarter than you. I know way more about this than you do. I do because I've done it. I've done it. I've trained so many fucking people over the years. I have the science to back it. I have the research to back what I'm doing. I've worked with probably hundreds of more people than you do. So I just hate when I see certain things like that, but people do it because they know other people agree to some extent who also don't know, and they put out specific information. Another guy said, don't post that. His name's Dan. And we're buddies on Twitter now, but it's just like, he said, don't listen to professional bodybuilders' advice. I'm like, I learned everything I know about mind and muscle connection, which then led me to understanding my big three movements really well, which then led to world records from Arnold Encyclopedia book, a professional bodybuilder.
Right. Now, I think that you were not the audience for that particular tweet. I saw that.
No, I know I'm not the audience, but here's the deal. I know I'm not the audience for any of those particular tweets, but I know why people put out information that's very one-sided, because they're trying to attract their crowd. I understand that, but it's just like, it's false. It's not true. Like, that particular information is not true. And he said 90% of their shit is bullshit. I'm like, that's still not true. Because here's the deal. You're not focusing on, maybe 90% of the stuff they say about supplements and that third is bullshit. But what they do possess is far greater than what they could even, what they possess is discipline, consistency, work ethic, understanding of mind and muscle connection, understanding how to eat effectively, understanding how to train hurt, understanding how to train injured, understanding how to work around injuries. They possess so many qualities in order to become that freakish, weird looking specimen that they are, that I never want to be. But to think that you can't learn 80% of what they're doing, you're naive again at best. That's my thing today, because it's like, I've been around too many big roided out motherfuckers who have taught me so much, because I've just watched their discipline in the game and they've been around it so much. Like, those bodybuilders probably put in 40 times the amount of effort than Dan already has. How do I know that? Because look where they're at. So it's like, if they put in more effort, they have more skin in the game. The more skin in the game, as long as you're relatively I'm not listening to every bodybuilder, but like guys like Stan Efforting and shit, if you don't listen to them, you're retarded. Like, these guys have nothing but good shit to say. It's just like, so it's like, when they push that though, because people, I see on Twitter, powerlifters don't know nothing about aesthetics. I'm like, I train, like 30% of my clientele is nothing besides aesthetics. Right. I know so much about aesthetics, so I understand how the human body works. So I can.
And you're going to be a show pony in like 5 years, so you better.
And I'm going to look so good as a show pony. I'm going to be fucking yoked as a show
pony. Wow, this is huge, because 4 weeks ago you wouldn't admit that was going to happen. Now we know.
Here's the deal, bro. I'm already in show pony training. I've been in show pony training for a decade.
What?
Been in show pony training. Everything after my main accessory lift is show pony training. I just happen to be a badass. Of course, my volume stuff. So I do my main movement, my main accessory, which is my next development. Then after that, it's just sub-accessory and finisher exercise, which is all based around volume, time under tension, strengthening my tendons. Of course, they're going to make me better at powerlifting, but they're also to keep me, like, I'm not the biggest guy, but I like to be a little bit aesthetically pleasing, just enough so people know I work out kind of thing. I could be much bigger if I spent more time on it, but I'd just rather be more athletic, more explosive. So I alter my training. But my sub-accessory and finisher exercises is show pony style training. And that's one of the reasons I've credited to me not falling into injury a lot, is because I've been able to do this level of GPP, general physical preparedness work, with a show pony style training in my training blocks.
Oh, so you think like normal powerlifting, they don't do enough accessory work, so their tendons and ligaments are no good?
Powerlifters and okay, let me rephrase this. If you're going to be a good powerlifter, you're going to be a good strongman, you're going to hurt. Right. Anytime you're good at a sport, you're going to hurt. Good baseball players probably hurt. They're playing 180 games. They're probably going to hurt. But good basketball players, going to hurt. Good football, everything. You're going to hurt if you're going to be good. You're going to be at that top level. So you're going to hurt no matter what if you're pushing your body to that particular level. You will hurt less and be able to avoid injuries more if you keep the volume up on there's so much value in building more muscle mass. Did you ever post a video of my lats whenever I was bench pressing?
I did post that video. I also posted another video when I first came to IVB where you said that the answer for everything is more muscle mass, which is generally true. If you want a faster metabolism, you need more muscle mass. Yeah.
You need more muscle mass. So this is like, are you fat? Put on muscle.
Yeah.
Huh? Should I do more cardio? I said what I said.
Right. People are so they're so fixated on these crazy things that I want to lose fat. I'm not trying to gain muscle. I'm big enough. I want to lose fat. It's like the engine in your machine isn't strong enough to process the fuel that you're putting in it. So you need to make the engine bigger. right? If the engine doesn't get bigger, you're gonna have a very, very tough time burning more fuel than you're putting in your body. So get your damn engine bigger. But people, they want a shortcut, which is understandable. Everybody wants shortcuts, but those are not the ways to take shortcuts. You do not take shortcuts by cutting your lean muscle mass for most people. Maybe if it's incredibly easy for you to build lean muscle and you have fat on top of that, then yeah, maybe you're one of the 5% of people.
There are shortcuts. Here's the shortcuts. Actually, it's like, this is what people in our industry don't recognize. There are tons of shortcuts. Guess what? You saw 10 years of results in 3 months. How? Hired a coach. Shortcut. I'm the shortcut.
Right.
You're the shortcut. Your book is the shortcut. My coaching is the shortcut. If you want to up your results 20, 30%, DM me. Yeah, you're going to pay for it. Yeah, I'm one of the best in the world, so you're going to pay my price, but I will create a shortcut for you. Am I going to say you're going to look like Ronald? You're going to look like you're going to be lean as Alex next week if you're fat? No. But I will get you there far faster than you would yourself, because I have a better understanding of it. This is my realm. This is my space. If I want to know more about Bitcoin, I'm going to ask Alex. That's his space. It's his realm. You stay in your space. So when you know certain things in your space, you can create shortcuts for people. You can really help them. And I know those words don't like to be used by a lot of fitness people. Like, oh, I can guarantee this. I can guarantee this. I can guarantee shortcuts. I've just been doing it enough times. Am I saying I'm going to completely get you to deadlift 1,000 pounds? Like, no, probably not. But it's just like, I'm going to get you to your goal way faster than you'll be able to get there because I know more about it.
Right. And once you realize that life, there's Sherpas and everything. It's not just when you're hiking in the Himalayas that you need a Sherpa. It's like, if you can identify somebody who can help you and you have the money to buy it, you should almost always buy it. Like the return, people can't even calculate the return on these sorts of investments because they're used to calculating the return on financial investments. And so they're like, oh, this is I bought this stock at 200 and it went up to 300. That was a 50% return. So I sold it. Great. It's like, the money that you put in your body is going to 10x the return on that. It's like, if somebody's paying you $500 for perfecting percentages, it's like, how much would you pay actually to increase a big three lift by 100 pounds? It's like, most people pay more than $500 for that. I hope you would, because you're spending that much on protein shakes. Like, you might as well spend your money in the area where it's going to make the biggest difference. And what that is if you work with somebody who knows what he's doing, then you can apply your effort more efficiently and you can raise your potential. But people they spend money on the wrong things very frequently.
Yeah, 100%. Here's the deal too. I always tell people this: like, if you had to buy oxygen to live, you would most definitely, every chance you got, you could buy more. Right. Let me get some more oxygen. The minute someone has the opportunity to better their health, they don't buy it. That's the first thing they cut. Right. I don't need to go to the gym anymore. Don't need my trainer. I'll cut it. I'm just like, you're buying oxygen. And I know it's not like anything can happen, right? You can die in a car crash, anything can happen. But it's just like, you're in physically better health, probably going to live a whole lot longer, healthier life. It's just like, the reward is so right there. But it's super easy for people to not want to buy into that, what that kind of looks like. And a little bit has to do with our industry, just the wrong way. Our industry, we got to be for real. Our industry was kind of a niche for a lot of time. People thought working out, like my dad's grown age. My dad's like my dude Rich, who I call my dad. Which is not that kid. He's Rich as my man. He calls me a douchebag all the time. I'm not working out, you douchebags. You flex and do all this stuff. He goes, I'll knock your ass out one punch. He's just hardcore. He's from West Virginia. It's just, I get it. Right. I get these guys, right? I understand these type of men. So working out was like kind of douchey for a lot of years. It was like, oh, look at me. I do this. It still is there. Don't get me wrong. It's still there. But in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it wasn't really that cool. Now all of a sudden it's becoming cool. Chicks are like, oh, that's hot. Oh, I want this. Right. Oh, a booty? Like, people are actually starting to recognize now that health and fitness is more serious. Right. But there's got to be a time lapse. Just because people think it's more serious, people are able to actually see results on their own. You can see results very simply. You see results by stop eating like shit, walk, and do bicep curls and overhead presses and chest presses and push-ups. You can have 20-pound dumbbells at home. You will see results in 6 weeks. 6 weeks, you will be substantially leaner and more healthier. 100%. And that's the reason why people don't pay for a coach, because that way worked. It worked for me, Zach. How could it be any other way? Or like, that's the way, so a lot of people get caught up in like thinking that they're, since they've already tried one approach, that's kind of the end all be all, like body weight stuff, you know, especially people who are very obese and then find a way to getting healthy. You see this very, very often in nutrition space on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Keto people, they always fat, they're all skinny now, and they're all about it. And they're like, you gotta do, and it's the reason why they're so holding on to keto. A, it works for a lot of people, so cool, good, whatever you think, it's all great. But B is because they have such an emotional attachment with it. It emotionally changed their life forever.
Mm-hmm.
So they believe that has to be it.
Right. No, that is very true. And it's like people lack an awareness with their own bodies. And I'm trying to figure out what the best words are to put behind this, but they basically take their bodies for granted. And they kind of think like, well, I don't have to pay anything to wake up, so why would I want to pay more money to stay awake? It's like, well, okay, you're right. You don't literally pay money to wake up, but you pay money to make your life better all the time. And, if you're paying money to go on vacation because it's going to make your life better, you're paying money for expensive shoes because you think they're going to make your life better. Have you ever had a good body? Have you ever had the best body that you can have? And do you realize the monetary advantages and just the life advantages that you get from having that? They're quite large, right? They're probably not less than $25,000 a year in terms of and that's if you're like not smart. If you're not smart and you have a great body, you'll make an extra $25K a year in all likelihood. If you are smart and you have a great body, there's no limit to how much more than that can bring you. And so if you're struggling to invest an extra $10 or $20 a day on quality food, or an extra, couple $100 a month on a trainer, it's like, well, you're going to limit yourself on a good trainer. I'm not just saying any trainer, because most trainers aren't good. But, if you've identified somebody who's such a high return investment, whether it's a coach, whether it's a certain program, it's like, do it. What else are you going to better spend your money on than that?
A few years ago, I was navigating through a psychedelic experience, and I was looking at my hands, and I came to this conclusion that I have the ability to get this organism to do anything I want it to do. I looked at my left hand and I said, do your index finger. Okay, do your ring finger. And I realized that I had control of this body, and that what I put into this body is going to make it perform better. And it was like an awakening for me. Oh, the demands I put underneath of this thing is going to cause it to perform better, faster. It's going to get my engine running cleaner, harder. These are things that you started talking about to me too. Like when I ate popsicles, like it's funny when Alex is around, my diet, that's why I want to live here, because my diet just gets better. Not that he guilt shamed me, well, kind of, but it's just like he says the same words. He says the same things. Like, dude, what you put in though is, he always tells me, it's like, dude, Zach, I don't eat popsicles because once it's in me, it's not doing enough for me. So I just don't, there's no return, there's no ROI. So I started looking at the ROIs that come in and out of my mouth. I'm like, oh, what's the return on investment in this popsicle? Well, it's 6 to 8 grams of sugar. And okay, well, what's this protein bar? Or what's this piece of chicken? Well, it's going to be 15 grams of protein. Oh, that's a little bit closer to what my end goal might be.
Yeah, or realistically, it's not like people think like I don't eat that stuff, and then maybe they don't. It's like, what was I eating last night? I was eating this crap, right? You can see it right here. And the difference between this and a popsicle is you look at the ingredients, and it's like ingredients: raw local honey, shredded organic coconut, unrefined organic coconut oil, alkalized organic cocoa powder, vanilla, Himalayan pink salt. All that stuff is like, this is fucking delicious, dude. You can see I ate half of this thing, right? So half of this thing is, according to the thing, it's like 180 calories or something like that. This thing was delicious last night. I ate it last night. I ate a pizza, and then I was still hungry, so I ate another half pizza. You can see it all on Twitter, on Instagram. And then I was like, I got this chocolate at this Jimbo's down the street. Great Whole Foods spot. I'm like, I train, my body needs this stuff. I'm going to put it in my body, and we'll see how it responds. And it's like, I got the same benefit that you get from eating a popsicle in terms of my personal enjoyment. That's probably better for me. So that's going to make my training easier today. It's going to add less fat to my body. The only difference is it costs a little bit more. That popsicle probably costs like 33 cents or something. You buy a 6-pack for $2. And that chocolate cost me like, I don't know, $4, I don't know how much it cost, $5. So my snack was $2.50 and your snack was 33 cents. But the difference is I spent that extra $2 so my machine can function better, and it will function better. And so that's the thing, is like, I'm not willing to make compromises on the quality and taste of the food that I eat, unless it's like thousands of dollars difference. But if we're talking about like a few bucks, $10, $20 a day, it's like that money will get spent on me eating delicious food, because it just makes my body work better. It's like you wouldn't aspire to own a Porsche and then go put 87 octane gas in that because it's cheaper. It is in fact cheaper to put 87 octane gas in a Porsche. It just doesn't run well on that, right? And you're spending the same amount of time going to the gas station. 91 octane gas doesn't fill your car up faster than 87 octane gas. Everything you do is exactly the same except the cost. So if you're able to adjust on the cost, that opens up the amount of options that you have, and it allows your machine to operate more efficiently with less emotional restraint, right? You do the same thing. Just be a little bit more intelligent about it.
Okay, and now is this the Trolls episode?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and then we got off of that.
Circle right here.
Yeah.
When you start doing things that you're doing like that, Alex, and when I start doing it, I create these specific disciplines in my life. I become like, I raise on my self-confidence level a little bit. Like, dude, the more control I have over me, my emotions, my body, my performance, the more confident I become. So when you see me at my peak confident times, is when I'm synced up the best, when my nutrition's intact. I'm drinking a gallon of water a day. I'm deadlifting 600 for reps every weekend. It's just like, when I'm peaking, my confidence is when my performance and all the areas of my life are going up. One area I feel like people lack, and why they don't possess the amount of confidence that they have, is because of the constant shit that they put into their mouth.
Yes.
And I just don't think that we think about it enough, because it's so subconscious, because it rewards us. The reward is fulfillment. The minute you eat something, it tastes good, your belly's full, you move on. Like, me and Ash talk about this a lot. It says we eat cleaner now. Like, not that we've never not ate clean. It's just in relation to Alex, okay?
Right.
Alex is just kind of like on a different level. Like, I'm on 80 to 90%. He's 130%. So it's just like, when we eat better, though, when we find ourselves in runs, we're hungrier faster. Like, I want more food. All of a sudden, it's like, if I'm always eating cleaner foods, I always want more. Where I can eat a Five Guys burger, I don't want to eat for like 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. It's just because that shit just sits heavy. Mm-hmm. So when it sits heavy, it's making what? My mind runs slower. When I just constantly eat shit and it sits heavy on me, I'm getting this this neurological response saying that I'm running slower here. So I'm operating less up here. Even if people don't like to agree with it, I've worked with way too many entrepreneurs who have just changed their diet up and they started performing better at work, making more money. It's just like those guys are some of my favorite to work with. It's either these young 20 to 30-year-old guys who are entrepreneurs who are trying to get to the next level, or the dudes who are 40 and 50 own a couple pizza shops or whatever and trying to get in really, really, really good shape. And next thing you know, they lose 20 pounds, and next thing their business is up 10%.
Yeah, and
by accident.
Well, right. And to go back to what we talked about on the last episode is, as I've gotten older and as I've understood the benefits of emotional regulation and then the risks of me doing certain things and that gets in the way of my emotional regulation, everything, it comes down to managing my physiology. If my physiology is something I can control and manage, I'm typically going to be on the right track. And there's a handful of ways that my physiology can go off. If I don't sleep well, my physiology is going to go off. So there's a number of different things I can do to ensure that I'm sleeping well. I can make these adjustments relative to anxiety levels. So if anxiety ramps up, there's things I can do to fight that. There's some possible, there's no free lunches, but there's things you can do to fight that, to prevent the snowballing of anxiety, to mess up your physiology. The other thing is eating well and having hydration, because if you're not eating well and you're not having hydration, you're not going to make good decisions. There's studies on how judges will sentence people, and judges are more lenient in their sentencing in the afternoon after they've had lunch, right? So people respond like hungry animals when their physiology is off. When your physiology is off balance, you're more likely to act in a primal manner, in a fight or flight manner. You're more likely to be controlled because you're in that state, that risk state, that fight or flight state. And so the more you can manage your physiology such that you're not intentionally putting yourself in these highly volatile, physiologically unstable conditions, the more likely you are to make good decisions a higher frequency of the time.
Yeah, definitely. It is confidence. It's also confidence. It's like when you're just performing well and you're accounting for what you're doing in and around your life, you do better. You think better. You're more clear. You're more in charge. Like I hate to say so many. It's so often that we, as all of us, even myself included, just neglect to recognize that we're driving this motherfucker. Like, you're in charge of your ship. You're in charge of your organism. What you put in, like what happens to and around you is because of you. If, like, I was mentoring a friend the other day, and I said, hey man, I said, are you auditing your environments? What do you mean? I was like, how do you feel when you leave the bar at 2 o'clock in the morning? I was like, who are you leaving with? Are you auditing the amount of your feelings the friends that you're with at that time? Do they have your best interest? Are you where you're supposed to be? Are you putting yourself at any layer or level of risk? Not being hurt, but risk of yourself. And knowing that if I continue to keep myself in this environment, I don't want to end up like that 35-year-old dude who still goes to the bar every weekend, tries to hit on 20-year-old chicks. I don't want to be that guy. Like, are you putting yourself in an environment to become that person?
Right.
And we don't audit in our environments enough. Like, I'm a big environment auditor. So it's just like when I'm around, like, you'll know that if I like you or not, because I'll hang out with you more. If I don't like you, I retract back quick. So like Alex is in town, I'm just swinging by and picking him up all the time, hanging out with him, because I like to be around him. When I'm around him, I'm a better person. He just brings out a side of me that's better. So I audited that environment. I'm like, ooh, good environment. I'm gonna stay there. I'm gonna keep putting myself there because I'm getting things from this. I'm getting rewarded from this in a way. I'm learning more. I'm more sound. This person's better for me. That's the reason why my guys are Iron Belly Barbell, bro. They moved here because they audited their environment and said, I need to be around that guy. If I'm around that guy more and I'm around that cult more, I'm going to find myself in a much better position in my life.
Absolutely. And I think as a mic drop moment, audit your environment, spend more time hanging out with Zach and Alex. This is episode 9. We'll catch you next time on episode 10.
Peace to everybody.
Awesome.